Bad call, but go for it.
Oh, baby.
So we're just gonna jump right into it, huh?
Something's gonna get real fucked up.
We are drinking whiskey.
I put gin on top of my gin.
Giggling about bullshit. Shake your nutsack to playing with the boys? Oh my god, we're recording.
I'm trying to fill the void.
That's what you want, an alabaster smooth penis.
Zig and Larry ignore a topic. What's up, hip-hop?
I didn't even realize that my big face was going to be in the back again. That's fantastic.
I like it when your big face is in the back.
What's It always goes that way for us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. Anyway.
Oh, good.
Hey, buddy.
Welcome to Zig and Larry Ignore Topic. I thought of another one. Tanner. Tanner sucks. That name is awful.
Yeah, that's just an old-timey profession.
Mm-hmm. Or Tucker. That's just an old-timey forced profession.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's an old-timey profession that you just... It's thrust upon you. And
It's I won't take the joke, but the word thrust is in there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, but thrust and in there.
You know.
I got to tell you the highlight of my week, pal.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of finding the deals at the grocery store.
Oh, at the Aldi's?
No. About once a month, I'll go to the Jewel. And here's a little hot tip for you. If the circulars, they end on the Tuesday at a grocery store.
Uh-huh.
On Wednesday, they have all the deals that are brand new, plus all the shit they couldn't get away with. And now they're trying to they're like, use this, freeze or use before today. So I literally just fill the freezer with that kind of stuff if I'm not going to cook it like that day or the next day. As long as most of it is just perfectly fine. It just goes in the freezer.
Right.
Typically a $48 huge pork loin. The whole loin of the animal. 9 pounds of pork I got for $8.
Oh my god. You can't find loin that cheap even in Decatur.
Well, it depends. If you go down by the docks, you sure can. But I butchered that thing for a goddamn hour and a half. I made butterfly chops, double cut chops, a bunch of loin chops, 2 tenderloins, some cubes for skewers on the grill, and a pound of ground pork.
That sounds amazing. Huzzah.
Mm-hmm. Huzzah and kudos.
What are we drinking, bud?
So, hold on. We got a melange. We got this guy.
Uh-huh.
This is mostly cider. On the same trip to the grocery store, I found myself some of those beautiful big old fat Michigan strawberries. I've been drinking already. Blueberries.
The little blue ones. What are they called?
What do you call them? The berries, they're blue. Listen to me, you ignorant cocksucker. Don't you hide from me. I know you know the name. I smushed up whatever the hell berry that is. I put a bunch of Michigan cider on top of it for a theme, and then I put bourbon inside of that.
Nice.
Uh-huh. I'm calling it this is what I had in the house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to the grocery store, right? I had a big day. So Nick is up in a cabin in the north woods of Wisconsin with her mom.
She finally got away from you.
She did. She gnawed through the restraints.
But you found her already in the cabin.
Yeah.
No internet. No service.
Well, she's in the woods. She knows better than to hide in the woods. She goes to a city. I can't pick up her scent, but in the woods, it's real clean up there. I can.
She's up there with mom playing Evil Dead, the home game.
I smell regret. So she left because every year my mother-in-law takes her brother and sister up to this cabin, and they spend several days up there. Well,
hunt each other for sport.
What's that?
Hunt each other for sport.
Yeah. That's why there used to be 2 brothers that went with him. He got eaten last time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But so she left with her mom because no one could go. So her mom's like, "Hey, I've got this cabin. I can't get a refund on it. It's I mean, we're sequestered out in the North Woods. Let's go. And so Nick was like, any chance to get out of town and away from Coco, the alcoholic gorilla. And so she's up there, which means I've been alone now. This is my third day, all by myself, and I had to go to the grocery store to get provisions.
Oh God!
Yeah, my trip. It looked like an alcoholic toddler was left unfettered in the grocery store.
Nice.
Like when I loaded everything up on the belt, the girl, the checkout girl looked at me. She goes, "Oh, are we having a party?" And I went, "No." And she goes, "Oh, good for you." And I was like, no, honestly, it looks like the saddest Bachelor. Like, it looks like, well, this is the last weekend I'm going to be alive, so I'm living it up. Sunday's the last day, guys.
Have you seen Leaving Las Vegas? I'm doing that, except for without the Vegas and no hooker.
Just me and the dog.
Oh God! The part of Elizabeth Shue will be played by the scared dog. And what kind of world are we living in? What kind of pandemic? Where this sounds like a beautiful idea. Hey, I'm going to go to a cabin, sequestered, in the middle of nowhere, with nobody but my mom, with no internet, no phone, no cable, and you're like, yes, please, anything, that's fine.
Anything.
Yes, I don't care.
Break the fucking monotony.
We'll forage, we'll throw rocks at squirrels, whatever the fuck you want to do. Oh, God, we'll go streaking in front of the Blue Jays. I don't give a shit.
I'm having I started out, my lunch is a grapefruit radler from Big Shark.
Oh, for Big Shark. With
Shark.
a K.
Yeah, with a K.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's nice to start off. That's why I put berries in this one, and it's a cider. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now we're having dessert, and that's going to be the Silver Bullet, because it's the right beer now.
Wait, so the grapefruit radler was your first course, and the Silver Bullet is dessert?
Yeah, well, the grapefruit.
The
grapefruit radler has vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, but that's just like it's savory though. It's like a savory dessert, like a cheese course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know how to live, but I got home and I was just because like I got up today, and our lawnmower had shit its pants.
Mm-hmm.
Like last week, so Gideon mows yards.
Right.
And so I took him last week to the first yard that he mows. We have a sequence, and he's pulling on it.
Real quick, for the listeners at home, he just does this. He's a simple boy. All he does is mow lawns. Half the time, it's just like a park. You just leave him for a day, and he'll mow like half the park.
Yeah, I leave him with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in his cargo pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And
$5 worth of nickels and a sock to fend off the homeless.
Yep, and a Game Boy with no batteries because he's got a good imagination.
So he went a mowing.
And we get there, and he pulls and pulls on this mower, and he's like, "Dad, I can't get it to start." I said, "Did you prime it?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, do it again." So he primes it, and he pulls and pulls, and he's like, "Dad, it won't start." I was like, "I got this, boy. Let me show you how it's done. You're just not putting enough ass behind it." And I pull on it, and pull.
I love that you have to like jump in, even though the kid's been doing this all fucking summer. He obviously knows how to start the thing.
Well, yeah, but he came to me. He's like, "It won't start."
Right, but your first reaction is you're doing it wrong.
Exactly, because I was raised right. That's what you do as a dad. You just assume that everyone is fucking it up, and then you try it. And so I pull, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? And then, so you know the handle that you pull back that pulls the throttle, that's connected to the cable. I let go of it, and it just stayed in place. And
well, that's not good.
I was like, that's not supposed to happen. And I was like, why is that? And I'm moving it, and I just grab the cable and give it a little pull, and it just pulls out, and it's just broken. It's just frayed in half. And I was like, mother.
To quote my proctologist, well, there's your problem.
And so we try to, jury rig it together, and we're trying to do different things. And I'm just like, I can't fix it. I can't fix it. And he's like, I'll just have Mom bring me back. He's like, no big deal. And so he lets the people know. But I'm fuming, right? Because I can't fix it. I just want to get it done. And we get it in the car. And I'm sitting there and I'm just real quiet. And he reaches over, 14 years old. I love this kid so much. He reaches over, puts his hand on my arm, and goes, hey, buddy, I'm really proud of you. And I looked at him, I said, what now? He goes, hey, like just a year ago, you'd have picked that thing up, thrown it in the neighbor's yard, and we'd have went to Walmart and bought a new one. He said, but today, you just went, all right, let's put it in the car. I'll go order parts and see if we can't get it fixed. He said, your therapy's really working, and I'm proud of you, Dad.
I was going to say, have we been working on rage recently, or is this more of just age being like, I just don't have it in me?
No, it's maybe a combination of the two, but okay. I've been doing some intensive therapy to try and fix some issues. So
mostly shock, self-induced car battery testicles kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if I can fix it myself, I ain't paying nobody else to do it.
Also, why I end up having to go to the proctologist.
So this morning, I get up and make myself some breakfast, have a little coffee, and Glenn buzzes my phone, and he's like, hey, if you got a minute, I got some time before I go to work. Do you want to play a little Call of Duty? Because the Call of Duty Season 5 came out.
Cool.
And I was like, you know what? 99.99% of the time, my world stops for my kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, unless I have an unbreakable obligation that I've already made, and even then, sometimes it's like, all right, fuck that, kid.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Never question.
So this morning I was like, I got time. I was like, yeah, let's play. So we play a little Call of Duty, do a few rounds, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go, because I had ordered all the parts for the mower. They came in yesterday. I didn't have time to do anything. I was like, so I got to go fix the mower and mow the yard, buddy. It's bad. He's like, oh, okay, I get it. He goes, I'll buzz you when I get off work. Cool. So I go out, change out the parts. Everything seems to be, moving around right. And I pull that mower, and I pull the mower, and it's not starting. I prime it. I check the oil. It's not starting. And now, my neighbor...
Anger building.
Oh, yeah.
Hulk smash.
Yeah, I was keeping the Hulk at bay, and at one point, I just start yanking on this thing, and I stepped back, and I put my fists on my hips, looking at the mower, and I didn't realize that my neighbor, Tabby, was out on her deck, and if they're on Nate and Tabby are on their deck, they can see right over the fence down into the yard.
Okay.
And she goes, hey, buddy! And I looked over, and she comes down, and steps around the fence. She goes, having a hard time getting that started. And so I explained to her. She goes, you just want to borrow our mower? And I was like, yes, I do. And so I come around to borrow their mower. And they've got like this giant, nice, self-propelled mower. Really nice. And she's meeting me over there. She goes, hey, I want to let you know, really proud of you. Because it looked like you wanted to throw it, and you didn't. Good job, buddy. I was like... Therapy's working, Tabs. Thanks for everything.
Saved by the neighbor. There's nothing quite so satisfying as like buying those parts and putting something together and having it work. But it's equally as fucking maddening when you really think you have a handle on it and you're like, this is a simple machine. I know it broke. I put this over the broke one.
Uh-huh.
And then it doesn't goddamn work!
Oh, yeah. And that's something that always, like, that's something that because normally I'm pretty good at fixing shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I don't contribute a lot to the household, quite honestly. Let's face it. Nick, I
wouldn't say that. It's just not as tangible.
Right. I provide security and I fix stuff.
Most things that you do won't hold up in a court of law.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So when I think I fixed something and it doesn't, oh my God, I'm just like, one, I'm heartbroken. Two, I feel like I've let the entire family down, and also my entire lineage, from...
Yeah.
Because I come from a long line of guys that just look at it and go, well, it's broke. Well, are we going to go buy a new one? Fuck you. No, we're going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how? I'm going to figure it out. And then they did.
Yeah, but here's the thing. In the new age of YouTube, I'm fairly handy. I'm not afraid of a tool. I've
Boy, do I know that.
except for my own because of the smell. But
You really
I'm
ought
not
to get
afraid
that
to
checked
take
out.
something apart and try to fix it, especially now that I rent this place. And if it was broken before and I broke it more, it's still not my problem.
Right.
So tee-hee. But, like, I could go on YouTube. Like, I fixed the dishwasher not terribly long ago from a problem I did not know how to fix, and I did. The bitch of it is, though, is that then I'm a grown man. I walk around this place looking at my wife like I deserve a cookie. Like I'm a 5-year-old who just won the science fair.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm like, look, huh? It was broke before, now you fixed it. She's like, good job, bub. Like, yeah. You see, so this is what I did. Like, I try to show her. She doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to call somebody and let them know that I took it apart myself and fixed it. Nobody gives a shit. This is why I drink, woman. And I was drunk the whole time I was fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time I'm not drinking when I'm fixing something is when I have to get up on the roof.
Well, there you go. And if you're gonna be,
Because I'm not making that mistake again.
well, I won't drink if I'm like playing with saws, like power saws and shit. That's a bad call.
Oh, I like
I've
to take my chances.
I've seen two separate people run their hands over a table saw before. You only need to see that once to know it's a bad idea. When it happens twice in your life, you're like, okay, I get it, God, it's coming to me.
So, do you remember our freshman year of college?
No, not.
I barely do either. But this
I
is
know
one
that
of-
we used all of our laundry money on pool, so we probably were the smelly kids, but
Yeah.
outside of that, no.
we rubbed dryer sheets all over our shit. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And weed smoke, bro.
You just smell like Everclear and ditchweed. Yeah, thank you. I spent a lot of money on that.
I was the P kid in high school.
No. So, remember Chris that ran the scene shop? You remember Chris?
Yeah.
Cool ass dude.
Yeah.
And because I knew my way around power tools, I loved working the scene shop because Chris was so cool, and he just kind of let me show up whenever I wanted to, and he would just be like, "All right, here's a drawing. Here's what I need done. Do it." And he trusted me because I had never really fucked anything up. And then there was the day that he laughed and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go up to my office. I'm supervising you. Cool, all right? Gives the air quotes, and he's like, but I trust you. Just we gotta build some doors, so I need you to cut this in these dimensions, and then build these doors. And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
just gave you a cut list and blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, I got this. He's like, don't cut anything off. Ha ha ha. So he goes into his office. I start running the jigsaw, and I'm running it with my left hand, and I'm holding the piece of wood that I'm cutting with my right hand. And I run the jigsaw up and don't realize where my little finger is.
Okay.
And I ran that jigsaw all the way up to the bone. I felt
Did you now?
I felt it hit.
Yeah.
It went, "Yee." And I
Smells like the dentist. like a relative.
And I stood there, and I went, shit. I don't know if it's still there. You gotta look, or you're gonna pass out. You gotta look. If you're losing blood, you gotta look. And I pulled, and it just had went, into the crease. It was perfectly in the crease. That's why there's no scar.
Oh, nice.
Because
Oh.
it just went into
Okay.
the knuckle crease. And of course, it's pouring at this point.
Yeah.
And I pinch it off as hard as I can, just like sex, and go running into Chris's office. And I was like, hey, buddy, remember when you told me not to cut my finger off? And he goes, did you fucking cut your finger off? And I looked at him, and here's what I looked at him and went, no, and held my hand up. Of course, it's down the elbow. I said, it's still there. And he goes, and I said, do we have a decent first aid kit? And he's like, you have to go to the hospital. I said, bullshit, I do. Hospitals are expensive, and my dad taught me how to sew wounds. And he went, say what now?
I would say that that's manageable if you've got the gumption. Yes.
Yeah, which I did. And there was like a full EMT's kit in the scene shop. And he's like, I sure hope that's still full. We open it up, everything's still there.
Okay.
And so I run it under hot water. I do peroxide, alcohol, peroxide, and I'm packing it full of triple antibiotic ointment, and we're trying to get the bleeding to stop. And I get the needle and thread out. Now, here's where I learned. We had a horse that had jumped over a fence one time, cut itself real bad. And Dad couldn't get a hold of the vet, and so he knew how to do this. So
I don't know if you know this. These aren't stories that a lot of people have.
You know what? What's funny is I didn't learn that until halfway through our freshman year. When I just assumed everyone had these, when I'd be like, guys, oh man, you remember when you'd be a kid and you'd finish up chores on Sunday and then you just get on your horse and go riding all day? Man, that was a great day. And everyone's looking at me like, we're from the suburbs of Chicago. I don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about.
I was from a town of 2,600 people. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, our farm was, 20 miles from any town. Our closest neighbor was, if you walked straight down through the holler and across, they were 2 miles away. Otherwise, if you went by the road, they were 6 miles because you had to wind around. It was, so I hurt myself quite a bit, so did Dad, and we just would fix it on the farm unless you couldn't. And there were situations where you couldn't. But I'm standing there and I'm trying to sew left-handed on my right hand, and I'm looking at Chris, who's just, I was like, does blood bother you? He goes, it doesn't make me happy. No. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I'm not left-handed. I'm going to need an extra pair of hands. And he's like, well, you don't get mine. I saw what you did to yours. But I had him helping me, sew up, and I got it sewed up and bandaged up. And he's like, are you okay? I said, well, I could use some orange juice to build up my blood sugar, but...
Oh my god. The one thing you learned from the blood drive in high school.
Yeah.
Give this man a Chips Ahoy and a little plastic cup of orange juice, he'll be fine.
Well, the best he gave me half of his sandwich that he brought for lunch and an orange soda. And I was like, that'll work. And he goes, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna go finish the doors because you asked me to.
You're gonna have to get the blood out of the first one.
But I always like to say that my blood, sweat, and tears was actually in that play.
Oh Christ! Quit dad joking me. I love that we have the kind of relationship where I can say, yeah, it seems like it's manageable on your own, whereas so many people would be like, what the fuck's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Go to the hospital. Which are both, I would say they both have value in their own rights.
I think so. I think you have to have somebody that looks at you and goes, you should go to the hospital. And you should have someone in your life that goes, this is fine. I can deal with this. Let me show you how to do it. Mm-hmm. The kids and I were out a few years ago, and we had an old fence that from the previous owners they had left in the new fence, and it was a wire fence. And I was telling the kids, like, be careful, you'll cut yourself if you're not careful. And I pull on it, and what happened is I pulled, and it whipped back and cut my forearm. And I said, and I took it as a teachable moment. I went, see? This is what happens when you're not careful.
I did this to show you a lesson. Now somebody tourniquet me and give me a goddamn glass of orange juice.
But
Dad's throwing down some fucking knowledge out here.
These are teachable moments. But I looked over, and of course they're all like super quiet and looking because my forearm's bleeding. And I said, who would like to learn how to dress a wound today? And Willow, of course, she was the one, she was like, me, I do. And I said, well, come on, I'll need an assistant. You boys keep working then. And we just... But that's how I was raised. I saw my dad, so he was holding the reins on a horse. You know what reins are, right? It's
No, Larry, of course not. Please tell me.
Oh, go fuck yourself. I wanted to make sure. Half the time I assume that you know what I'm saying. You're like, could you please explain that for other
Who
people?
doesn't know what the reins of a horse are? I've never been on a horse, but yes, I know what a saddle is, too. I know where the dick is on a boy one.
I know you know what a saddle is, because that's how we used to make extra money.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
All you need is a leather thong, a saddle, and a little bit of moral gimme room. And you'll be fine. Hey, just out of curiosity, 20 minutes in, what the hell are we ignoring?
Oh, we're gonna ignore our best and worst vacations.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
Okay. So my dad's holding these reins, and this horse is a young horse, and he's a little flighty. And he had just unsnapped one of the sides, so he had it in his hand. The snap was like dangling down a couple inches below the bottom of his fist. This horse pulls back, and Dad just clamps down. Well, the horse had yanked quick enough that the snap, which is more of like a claw clamp that had about a half-inch thumb lever.
I am so trying to be interested. No, please.
This is important,
Uh-huh.
because you have to explain what this looks like.
Sure.
So he grabs hold of this, clamps down, and
If you were 3 hours away, I would have gotten slapped.
no, you'd have just gotten hugged real tight. It would have been a moment of struggle snuggles.
I'll prefer a slap.
I know. And that's why I do it. And so he grabs hold, and that snap digs into his palm. And this horse is pulling, and he's trying to squeeze. And it digs from one end of his palm all the way to the top. And it just... And, of course, he's holding onto this horse, and he yells at me. I was never Larry, it was Boy. He's like, boy, come take this horse. And he opens his hand, and he had to dig the snap out. And he's like, huh. And it didn't bleed, but when he moved his hand, you could see the tendons working.
Huh.
And he went, I said, we need to go to the hospital. And he looked at me and goes, what for? He said, tie that thing off, go into the tack shed, and get the antibiotic ointment we use on the horses, which is like 10 times more powerful than stuff you buy in the store.
I suppose it would get the job done. Yeah, sure.
And I watched this man take a big 2 fingers out, pack that full, and then bandage his hand and go about his day like nothing happened. And occasionally, though, he would change the dressing and then just go, hey, look at this. I look like that Luke Skywalker at the end of that movie. And I'm like, God damn it, old man.
See, I never had that. My old man, I mean, he definitely shot the trunk of my car once on purpose.
Okay.
Long story short, my first car was a Ford Tempo, and the second car I had was a Ford Tempo. The third, though, was a Ford Tempo, and the first one I had was a huge piece of shit. I managed to back it into a moving truck at some point, so it took on some water in the rain because it was lit. And it had the trunk had, fucking carpet in there. So there was a big rain after I destroyed it, and we couldn't get the water out. So the old man goes, I know how to fix it. And he brought out a bolt-action rifle and just shot through it. The idea being that it would just drain to... And it did-ish, and then it started to smell interesting. And we realized that he had just put a bullet through the gas tank.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. The problem with the old man is that he knew how to fix a lot, but what he didn't have the balls to admit that he couldn't. So he just made it up as he went along. Which is why I drove around a Ford Tempo with a glass pack instead of a muffler for quite a while. That was held on by a wire hanger and duct tape. And then he tried to yell at me when I literally got the only noise pollution ticket ever written in Henry, Illinois for a car.
You put a glass pack on my Tempo.
Oh, my Tempo. Yeah.
That was a real pussy wagon.
And then and then he tried to get me to pay it. Like, I'm 16. I work for a minimum wage. You put that fucking thing on there. You're paying the $50 for noise pollution.
Yeah.
And we're still not fixing the car, are we? No. Yeah, no. I failed to see this.
I'll try not to gun it in my tempo.
Which was a lie, because you had to. That's the only way to get up any speed.
Right. Yeah, it's like if I put dual glass packs on the Prius.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes you just gotta, in a 1987 something piece of shit Ford, you just gotta put the hammer down to get it up to 32.
Yeah. 31 and a half, be fair.
31 and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Tempo of Death.
Was that the Tempo of Death? That was the blue one, wasn't it?
No, that was the HMS Middle Class.
Right. I did do a lot of riding around in that car.
Mm-hmm.
It was a delight. I had the Cougar of Love that.
Oh, that's right, the Cougar of Love.
Because it was, man, I loved that car. Teal on the outside, gray on the inside, with the faux wood on the accents.
Just accident upon mistake slapped together on that thing.
Oh,
so perfect.
Yeah.
Pristine.
Yeah, and then I got the real pussy wagon, the Grand Am Sport SE or whatever it was.
You know what, though? That was a pussy wagon. The problem was the kind of pussy... Pardon me, hold on. Do we not live in an enlightened society? The type of lady
Yes.
who, in the, well, what are we talking? Late 90s, early 2000s, who is attracted to a vehicle as such, and there were some.
Yes.
Let's say, how do you... Questionable morals, questionable hygiene, disturbing. It's like if Forever 21's dumpster was put through its own dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Then that's what you would put on, as long as all the jewelry was plastic.
Yep. And it was just a beautiful lack of inhibition.
Yeah. Just, you know what? You're going to get the job done, and then you're going to need ointment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was worth it. Almost every time. Almost.
I say that the odds of it's amazing that we didn't spread around our own goddamn bugs to poor unsuspecting women.
Dude, I have I have multiple times wondered, what have I given myself?
It's all for you and I. It's all internal bleeding, organ damage, and mental fatigue.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of mental fatigue, so Thursday night was the first night Nick was gone. Mm-hmm. And let's say I went a little hard in the paint because I was home alone and had no one to go, hey, you got to be up early tomorrow for work. And I was hungover most of the day yesterday.
Nicely done.
Yeah, we're trying to work. I had to do a conference call with a couple of the managers. And I was like, I took some medicine before I got on that call. I was like, hey, I got to get straight with the Lord. But
was that the bottle of Tito's in the background of the
maybe
breakfast?
Maybe. Yeah.
But it took me a second. You sent me a picture of your breakfast. It's like it just looks like an omelet and 2 pieces of toast with some manner of jam or something on it. I did get the point. I'm like, oh wait, there's a bottle of fucking vodka in the background. Gotcha.
And there was a lime to fight rickets.
But, hey, it's the scurvy.
Yeah.
It's
right. Sorry. But yeah.
The only thing that fights rickets is voting Democrat. Possibly.
The entire day.
We're just going to do it.
Yeah, do it. The entire day my body was screaming for water and oxygen, and I was like, what's that? Caffeine and nicotine, you got it.
You got it. Dear all my cells, quit being a pussy. Love the management.
You know how this works. Don't complain.
Jesus. So what was your worst vacation?
Oh, nice. Okay, that reminds me. I'd say this is the words. This is why we never had an adult conversation.
So it's fine.
So Nick technically is on vacation, right? Mm-hmm. Now on the way up, she made her mom stop at it is called the Circus World Museum.
Excellent.
And they've got stuff about Wild Bill's, or Buffalo Bill's Wild West show and all this stuff. But when she showed me, I was like, oh, enjoy your menagerie of truculence. you because it's
Hold on, take a deep breath and try again.
yeah.
Hold on.
Man,
You tripped over your own gums at that point.
I did. Menagerie of truculence.
There you go.
Yeah, because it's just. I was like, they just tortured animals the entire time. She's like, yeah, there is a part of me that feels guilty. I said, you should, and you should feel real guilty because there's probably some malevolent clown spirit that's hanging out there that's going to attach itself to you and bring itself home. It's like, you just need to drive away.
Okay, so this is roughly themed. This is roughly themed to what we're talking about.
Okay.
But I have to do this. So the last vacation I took, definitely not a perfectly lovely vacation to Austin, Texas, in February, literally right before the lockdown. We got back like weeks before coronavirus hit. And we had a great time. It was awesome. But she found in Austin, God, I'm going to screw this up. It's called like the Museum of the Weird or the Museum of the Odd or something like that. It's very similar to if you've ever been to one of those like Ripley's Believe It or Not museums.
Right.
So it's like that. They have like a couple of oddities and like stuffed animals that are like taxidermy, two-headed goats and stuff like that. And it's kind of cool. But we got there a little bit after they opened. And a guy goes, hi, yeah, so if you're ready, the freak show is about to start. The circus performer is here, so as soon as we get everybody in there, we can start. And we're like, I didn't know that was a thing. It's like, yeah, absolutely. He performs kind of whenever he shows up. And we have about 20 people in there right now, so if you would like to go, like, absolutely. I was not prepared for the gentleman I was about to see, and he was awesome. I couldn't tell you his name, and for the life of me, he encouraged people to take video and pictures, and I really wish I would have, but I just don't have that in me to be that person. You know what I mean? But he encouraged it, but still. He was a dude probably roughly 60, maybe about 5 feet tall. Really long hair, glasses, and he I don't know what you call it, but the birth deformity where your hands are kind of like flippers, and they're really close to your body. And he just sat there, and he just talked to us for a little bit. But he had this, what I was positive at first, was a trick, until he let me play with it. He allowed himself to be a conduit to electricity, to where he literally did... So, this is where I thought it was bullshit. He had a live wire, in his hands, and he turned on to his little breaker box, and then he held it, and he put a light bulb into his mouth, right? And the light bulb lit up. And I'm like, okay, I've seen this trick before. You put your tongue on the light. It's a trick light bulb. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, fine. And then he has this live wire in his hand, and he literally goes, anybody want to shake my hand? Done. And then he's like powering small things through little jolts of electricity that are going at small devices and shocking people and going through the entire audience as you're holding hands, and you can feel the vibrations.
Oh my God.
I don't know how much of it is a trick, how much of it is just like a genetic whatever. It had nothing to do with his physical deformity. It was like a totally different thing, at least according to him. But it was the coolest goddamn thing. I'm like, I love this dude. He's like, I work for tips. There's no insurance for something that I do. So I'm like, I put a $20 bill in that man's. It was the best 15 minutes of that day, period.
That's fantastic.
It was phenomenal. I wish I would have paid for a poster, because I could have I could have given $20 and taken a poster, but I just wanted to give him $20. I'm like, no, let somebody else buy it, man. That was the whole day, the whole morning, the show was just great, and he was just such a showman. It's like, I know you're thinking it's a trick. Play with this, blah blah blah. He couldn't let me play with enough of the stuff. He's like, please check it out. I really don't care. Oh, by the way, here, you want to touch this? I wouldn't suggest it, but touch your hand a little bit. Zap. Oh, yeah. He had something going on.
That's fantastic.
A lot of times when I get excited about stuff, I don't shut up for 5 minutes.
I'm sitting here just like a kid on Christmas, like, yeah, tell me more.
Dude, he was great. He was great. I should have taken at least a picture with him, because he couldn't have been more happy to do it.
Yeah.
I just felt weird about it. I just felt like when taking pictures with people who do shows, celebrities, just the way that I am when I do a show, I kind of get it, but I don't like to do it, so I just kind of shy away from it.
Yeah, I get that. We saw the world's smallest woman one time so it's at the state fair.
Real quick, when I do a show though, it's not like a geek show. It's comedy. I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh, never mind then.
No, the world's smallest woman. She's Indian, right?
Well, at the time, that was either she hadn't gotten on the books or she had been overlooked.
Or usurped.
I did bad dad joke and you missed it, and you didn't even make fun of me for it.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, overlooked because she's anyway. So it.
God.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm not proud. I may cut it. Probably not.
You don't cut anything.
I try to, and then I fail. It was at the state fair, and it was like, come see this, and come see the dragon of blah blah blah, and it was like a gator that they had stapled wings to, or some stupid shit.
Right, yeah.
Come see the world's smallest horse. And so you look at it, and they just have him, like, they have you up on a platform, and you just look down, and you're like, it's just a little pony.
It's just like it's a 1-year-old pony.
Yeah, he's just a little guy, but okay. And then we're like, okay, world's smallest woman, ha ha ha. Probably going to be some, and we turn the corner, and it really is this tiny, tiny woman. And we're like, yeah, I bet it's just, ah! And we just stood there, and I go, hi. She goes, what's up? And we're like, you good? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. And so we started asking her questions, and I don't remember exactly what Nicole asked, but this woman's response was, it's a living. What else am I going to do? And I was like, okay. And so we stood there for a little while. People were walking through, and we had tipped her, and you could tip the world's smallest woman, and easily, because not very strong.
Come on.
Come on!
You could tip the world's smallest horse too, but what's he gonna do?
But at one point she's like, could you guys just move on? You're kind of bumming people out. And I was like, oh, right on. All right. And I felt like we were supposed to be more reverent. And then I realized we were being bigger assholes by being like, oh God, when we should have just been like, there she is. Here's money. See you later. And wandered off.
I mean, it's not a bad gig. If I could just like travel the Midwest, sit in a tent, somebody came up, hundreds of people a day throw $5 at you to look at you. Like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, this is my body. I know. It's not ideal.
I do that now.
Pictures for $10.
That's like 10 minutes of material for me. This is it. I don't know what to tell you. Eat your vegetables, because otherwise this happens to you.
Christ.
It's not ideal. And that's what I say to Nicole right before sex, too. Well, this is it. It's not ideal, but I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to try my best.
After my divorce, that was my opening line on all dates. It's not ideal.
But
I know.
I'll put the work in.
No, that is not a promise I've ever made.
See, and I do. I want them to know.
Yeah, good for you.
I feel like Nicole should remember that I'm trying my best, even if it's not good.
No, see, that's never been an issue for me. I want people to know that I'm doing literally as little as possible at any given point in time, unless I choose to light something on fire and run away from it.
Okay, all right. Right, it's just different philosophies.
Yeah, absolutely.
One no better than the other.
I would say mine is definitely Buddhist.
Yes.
I don't think I really understand Buddhism.
And no, but mine's definitely like Lutheran, I think.
I based my entire knowledge of Buddhism off of half of a pamphlet I found in a gutter once.
Buddhism? Okay. I think I know everything I need to.
Seems like you just go, this is what you get, and then you get to, I don't know, go fishing? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I didn't read that part of the pamphlet. It wasn't available when I ripped it out of that homeless guy's hand.
By the way, you shouldn't do that.
rip stuff out of homeless guys' hands?
Yeah, I mean, fool me
Or
once.
Buddhism?
Oh, God. Yes. The answer to all things is yes.
Yes.
You shouldn't rip things out of homeless people's hands. Also, Buddhism is a thing you shouldn't do. I'm going to say shoes with laces. That's a bad call.
I bought a pair of new slip-on shoes, like closed-toed slip-on shoes, because I am so used to wearing flip-flops that there was no way in hell that I wanted to lace anything anymore.
Nope.
I'm so mad when I have to put on real shoes right now.
I don't do it. Also on that list, underwear with zippers.
What about the ones that have the zipper
Nope.
on
Nope.
that open up the...
Nope. Nothing so important you can't pull down, and I'll tell you why. Dryers.
I remember the day. I remember the scream.
You ever brand your dick with goddamn Herman Munster scar?
Yeah.
Because of the dryer?
Because I didn't listen
of the
to you.
zipper?
I heard you scream that day, came running to the basement, and went, "What's wrong?" You're like, "I burnt my dick." And then I didn't listen to you and did the same exact thing one day. And have never... I was like, you know what? That's on me. I didn't pay attention to Ziggy's mistakes. We haven't... Okay, worst vacation. We do have to talk about that.
Oh, okay. See, I feel bad.
I mean, we don't have to, but...
Well, it was circumstance. Worst vacation... let the jokes abound. But the worst vacation I ever took was my first honeymoon for my first marriage. But that had nothing to do... No, it's because of the circumstance.
Right.
So, legit. We, young 20s, just married. We went from the wedding, got into a limo, went to a hotel, slept for 4 hours, got onto a plane to go to the Caribbean, to Antigua. We land in Puerto Rico for a layover. We find the tiny little airport puddle jumper that's going from Puerto Rico to Antigua, okay? Which was no small feat. It was one desk the size of my kitchen table, and a guy behind it who was A, stoned, and B, couldn't have given a fuck if he wasn't. And we said, we had paper tickets, because this is the time of paper tickets, and we said, hey, we would like to get on this terribly, terribly weird plane to go to our honeymoon in Antigua. And the guy said, nobody's going to Antigua today, man. Volcano. And he said it like, and I'm a child at this point. He said it like, volcano, or like, like, oops-a-doodle, what you gonna do? There was a volcano that had erupted somewhere. I don't think it was on the island, but it was in the Caribbean. So spewing like just a shit ton of gas and smoke and dust and ash into the air.
So what I do every weekend.
Couldn't land. Yeah, exactly. From your ass, but on a much bigger scale. So planes couldn't land. They weren't taking off. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, when this happens, it's like 24. I'm not doing an accent. I'm gonna give him this accent, which is completely incorrect. But I'm gonna do it because the story's real. So when this happens, it's like 24 hours kind of thing. You come talk to me tomorrow, I'm sure we can get you to the island. You'll be fine. Obviously the way Caribbean, Puerto Rican people speak.
Yeah, 100%. Whenever I've seen it in a movie.
Right. So this is before the time of internet on the phone. That is not a thing, or it's definitely not a thing for people who are middle class. So we are like, well, we're stuck in the middle of nowhere. Thank God we just... Also, idiot children, all the cash we had gotten from the wedding was on us.
What do you do?
We went straight from the honeymoon. All the actual presents were taken by in-laws to a place, but the cash were like, we're keeping that forever, whatever. So we're like, what are we gonna do? We need a hotel. So we're like, how do we get a hotel? And I forget what it was, but there was some weird rule where they're like, can you please, can you recommend a hotel for us? And they said, no, we can't. We can give you these options, blah, 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 blah. Had I known then what I know now, we wouldn't have ended up where we did. We ended up on a place in Puerto Rico. And, by the way, I desperately want to go back. I would love to visit. It's been washed. But when we were there, we ended up in this resort in air quotes, that was on the beach, yes. When we got there, my brand new wife at the time asked me to check for dead hookers under the bed. There was definitely lizards and large spiders inside the room. It was a place where we did not feel comfortable. To wit, the young lady said she was not going to leave the place. She needed a contact solution. I was like, Jesus Christ, all right, I'll go get contact. So I walked outside, and it's like on a dirt road. I find a kid on a bike. I'm like, hey, man, do you know where there's a Walgreens? He's like, we don't got Walgreens, man. Oh wait, sir. Hey, we don't got Walgreens, man. Because it's a Puerto Rican accent, obviously, still. We got what's called Almal Farmacia. I'm like, sure, where's the Almal Farmacia? He's like, just go down the road a little bit. And he was really trying to be nice. He's like, just go down. You know where the cockfights were last night? But he's using it as a frame of reference.
Uh-huh.
And I said, we just got in today, man. He's like, shit, it's right there. So yeah, just go down. I find the Almal. We get her the shit. We have a horrible night. We go back to the airport. The airport says, all right, so we're not going straight to Antigua. We're doing another layover because we have a whole bunch of people who are behind you and ahead of you. So we're going to this island called Tortola. We're going to do a quick island hop to Tortola. From there, we're going to take you to Antigua. Stupid children, we said, okay. We get into a plane that was legit. The seats were held together with duct tape. The flight was not terribly long, and they didn't lose our luggage. We get to Tortola. The airport was a dirt strip with two metal corrugated buildings like you would use at a Midwestern bus, like school's bus barn. We get there. There is no restaurant. There is no nothing. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. Uh-huh. Like, that seems like first, there's that restaurant. Like, yeah, we're fucking hungry, man.
Yeah.
Which we learned because we spent the next 16 hours there. We were 16 hours on our honeymoon. Again, white people, but like white people problems. Nobody is telling us what's going on. Everybody's on island time. They honestly don't know. We're a little concerned because we spent a shit ton of money for this resort. And again, it's a resort. I get it. And nobody's dying. But, like, the only thing where we could eat was there was a food truck, which was really interesting because you go out there and he's got chicken, live chickens.
The losers from the cockfights.
No shit, they are. No, that's a Puerto Rico. That's civilized country. Where we are is like middle of nowhere. He's got chickens tied up with string to like the bumper, and if you go order chicken, he dispatches it right there and starts to cook it. Which, by the way, was delightful.
I bet.
Yeah. But again, when I'm 20, all of 24, I think, was not terribly prepared for that. There was a liquor store, a soda machine, and very loose laws about public intoxication. So, there was that.
So you're saying it would have been perfect for you and I to have gone. We'd have been fine.
Yes, what I had was a 24-year-old girl who was crying because she wanted her Caribbean, beautiful honeymoon.
Right.
I'm trying to keep it together, and we're doing just fine. The best part was, finally, when we came up and said, there's a plane that's going to take you to Antigua. And it did. We were about a day and a half behind.
Sure.
They gave us a day and a half on the end of the vacation. It was fine. But as she's doing it, she said, why didn't you guys go down to the lagoon? If you just go around the lagoon, you can't see it from here, but it's about a half-a-mile walk. There's this beautiful resort with a gorgeous bar and restaurant, and they let you, there's like a spa where you get a massage. I'm like, bitch, where were you half a day ago when I'm sitting here drinking cognac and a bottle of Coke? She decided to tell us this while the plane was landing. We did go, and then it was mostly okay. Sorry for another time was when I was forced to go scuba diving. I won't do that right now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I should have known the marriage was doomed when I was forced to go scuba diving. My one big fear on my birthday.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
How long have I been speaking? It seems like a week.
Should I do my worst or my best vacation?
Which one's funnier? Because mine wasn't funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
Well, yeah, because I didn't.
You know what? The best was me and Nicole's honeymoon. When we went to Key West.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which I know you love Key West.
Oh, big fan.
We love Key West. Yeah, that's the thing. The four of us should just go be in Key West, and the ladies can go do lady stuff, and you and I can go get lost and drunk and adopt an iguana.
It's not that big of an island. As long as you keep the water on one side, you can't get terribly lost.
Exactly.
Just don't go on a bridge, and you'll be mostly okay.
Exactly. I just could see us coming back with like a chicken, one of Hemingway's cats walking behind us, and an iguana that we wrestled into a Hawaiian shirt, and we started calling him Davy. Yeah, I don't know if he likes it or not, but he's here. But
and just looking at the women, going, you know what? Oddly enough, there is no story. This just is.
This is all right. Well, could you watch our child for a little bit? We want to go back down the road. But yeah, we loved the Keys. It was just so perfect. And like what I loved about the Keys is we rented bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're like, oh, this is how people get around. And they're like, yeah, people just ride their bikes places. I'm like, cool. We don't need to drive anywhere. Because we were staying on, I can't remember which key. We were a couple keys up from Key West. Okay. So when we went to Key West, we actually had to drive. But we were, but where we were staying, great, it was a motel. But great motel. Because most places down there are motels. And
yeah.
So we had these bikes that we had rented, and we're riding along, and as you can imagine, I'm not. I look like a. So you know, in the circus when they put a bear on a bicycle and make him go around the little. That's what I look like on a bicycle. I look like a bear.
You're talking about in Russia where they give a huge bear a bunch of quaaludes, and then just duct tape his legs to a bike and then hit him in the ass with a stick.
Yeah. I'm doing my best, and I just don't want to fall down. That's pretty much that's it. People just are looking like it's adorable, but he don't belong there. And that's how I am on a bicycle. But and Nick's like, she's going around, she's doing great, and I'm just back there like, please don't. Okay, this has been a while. I'm not good on bikes. And we just kept having, well, she didn't, but I kept having iguanas shoot out across the bike paths right in front of me. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm looking around, I'm like, there's no squirrel. Iguanas are the fucking squirrels of the Keys.
It's weird because iguanas are, depending on where they are in the world, it's a pet, it's something to like go see at a zoo, it's food, or it's a goddamn nuisance animal.
And I think it's all of those things in the Keys, just depending on where you are and who you are. But I just had decided that, though, I was like, it's so cool to see them, but I'm pretty sure that they all just carry switchblades, and they've just decide which one is going to take one for the team, so that when you hit it with your bike and go down, the rest of them run out, take your wallet, take your shoes, and just puncture the bike tires. And they're like, take that, motherfucker, and run off. And I'm like, not today, you fucking iguanas. But that was the same trip where Nick and I got roofied.
Uh-huh.
I think I've told you that story, haven't I?
Yes, and this is still the best vacation?
Yes.
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah,
you have, yeah. You both definitely got drugged. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had went to a locals bar out by the docks, and we were having fun, and there was a guy doing magic, and Nick loves magic. She loves sleight of hand and card tricks and all that. And so we were like, all right. I was like, all right, we'll stop. They have booze here. Let's just keep drinking. So long story short, there's another couple that this dude knows that came up and sat with us. And they were like, hey, it's your honeymoon? Yeah. We want to take you to the places where the locals drink. We'll show you real Key West. Awesome. that sounds fun. They introduce themselves. She's like, I'm a state's attorney. And he's like, I work with the Coast Guard. Seems like legit people, right? Cool. This seems safe. And as we went on throughout the night, and I know I've told you this, but this is for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much I can drink and stay upright. They weren't letting us, one, buy any of our own beers. And two, we would only get about half a beer drank. And they would be like, let's go on to the next place. And I'd be like, I'm not even, they're like, no, come on. And then we'd get there and we're like, let us buy you guys, we'll buy this. No, we got this. And they just kept buying us beers and they kept asking, are you guys doing okay? How you doing? And at one point, we get to the original Sloppy Joe's. And Nick is like, she's fucked up, right? And I'm standing there and I'm like, I'm feeling not drunk, but weird. This isn't a normal feeling for me. And I've only had like half beers before they've shuffled us off to other places. And I look over and her eyes, and I know how much she can drink before, and she had just been drinking beer, just beer. And she was like swaying, her eyes are glassy. And she did or said something, and I snapped on her, and then I was like, whoa, hold on. And I said, how are you feeling? She goes, I'm drunk. I said, how are you feeling? She was like, holy shit. This isn't drunk. I said, no, this isn't drunk. I said, let's just pour water. And they had bought us another couple rounds. And I was like, oh, and they're like, hey, why don't you guys just crash with us? And I was like, no, thanks. I'm good. They're like, are you okay to drive? I said, yeah, I'm perfect. And I'm using all of my powers to be sober. And at when I'm like, all right, we're taking off. I get Nicole out. She's stumbling. She's trying to walk. And I'm headed towards where we had parked. And then cut down an alley. And she starts to collapse. I pick her up, put her over my shoulder, and when I did, she's like, help, somebody's care. And I was like, it's me, dumbass. And she goes, oh, right, sorry. And I was like, so I go, and they had been following us. And they didn't see me shoot down the alley somehow. And so I get us around, get us to the car, get her pulled in, or poured into the car. And so and I know Key West is super ooky about their DUI laws. But I'm like, I got to get us the fuck out of this, out of town. We got to go. And so as soon as I hit the edge of town, 4 cops pull in behind me. And I was like, you got to, and I'm like, okay, we got to get our story straight. We got to figure this out. We've been roofied, because that was that we both were like, I think they fucking drugged us. Because I know what drunk feels like. I know what blackout drunk feels like. This is not either of those things. So they follow me for like a little bit, and then they all 4 peel off different directions. And I get us back to the motel. I get her out of the car, and I'm just like, you gotta be sober, you gotta be sober. I laid her gently on the bed, and then immediately, as soon as I laid her down, I went, oh, and just passed out, face first, fell on the floor.
Like in the fairy tale.
Yeah. And so we wake up. I had somehow transitioned to the bed. I don't remember getting into bed. I've got one shoe on, one shoe off. My clothes are still on, but I apparently had tried to take my shorts off. They were down to my knees. That's it. And we wake up, and we look at each other. We both kind of wake up at the same time. And I looked at her, and I was like, are you okay? She goes, I'm not really hungover. I think I'm okay. She said, how about you? I said, other than the feeling of someone may have or may not have shit in my mouth last night, I feel okay. She's like, yeah. I think we got roofied. I said, honey, I think we did too. And then she looks at her, she goes, you want to go back to Key West today? I said, I absolutely 100% want to go back to Key West. And it was even regardless of that, regardless of getting roofied and maybe having, at best, weird sex stuff done to us, and at worst, my kidney being cut out and left in a bathtub full of ice, that is still better than the worst vacation I ever took, which was to a trout farm in southern Missouri, where there was no TV, no internet. The cabins, I had to sleep on a floor because they were all just single beds. And there wasn't enough bed for me. And also, it was, I wasn't allowed to drink. But that's a story for another time.
Oh shit, are we there? We're there, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We're...
Excellent. Well, that was just us yelling stories at each other back and forth, and I really hope that, I leaked a little bit on the cushion, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's gonna happen. So what did you learn today, buddy?
Oh, God. What did I learn? I learned that I still have a little bit of animosity towards my first ever actual vacation to the Caribbean.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I learned that I can, unfortunately, drink 4 or 5 shots in the time it takes me to drink the majority of one cocktail.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And one third thing.
Oh. And a third thing that's funny. Just like Andy Kindler.
Yep.
Yeah, I learned and relearned today that it takes probably at least 4 roofies to put me down.
Like tranquilizing a fucking rhino. Like, at some point, it's like, just keep putting darts in him. I guarantee you, it doesn't seem like it's going to work. Just keep doing it. How many we got? 12. How many we got?
Just keep putting them in him. If does he die? Then he dies. That's fine.
The goal is to put him down.
And I learned that your first honeymoon sounds like it would have been a great vacation for me, you, and Jeff to have gone on. Because we would have cockfights. I mean, I got some cash. Where is that happening tonight?
Yeah, I mean, do you know where the cockfights were last night? No, but I sure would like to. Is that a nightly thing? Is it only on Wednesdays? Help me out here. I've never experienced. I'm a tourist.
If I give you a $50 bill and a real strong high five, will you be my guide for the next 12 hours? You just got to make sure I get to the airport.
There's beautiful places in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. I don't know how we ended up in it wasn't a terrible place, but it was definitely like it was the Motel 6 of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I like this episode. This was fun. Just telling stories at each other.
You didn't notice, but I took my pants off the entire time. Like,
you didn't notice, but I've never had mine on at all, ever.
I didn't notice, but I would have won $20 on that bet.
All right, buddy. Hey, that's good. I love you.
I love you back.